This whole thing is the biggest fairy tale I've ever seen.
I have so many opportunities from this country.
Perhaps not, but becoming an agent of change and having no one be able to tell you what the change is, what's that all about?
Well, you know, he doesn't always get into the nitty-gritty of the specifics, it's true.
One of the areas that I have constantly worked on is not only pushing aside the special interests, this past year passing the toughest ethics reform legislation since Watergate, but also making sure that the government is transparent and accountable.
You know, when it comes to lobbyists, you know, Senator Obama's chair in New Hampshire is a lobbyist. He lobbies for the drug companies. So I think it's important that all of us be held to the same standards, that we're all held accountable.
Democratic Congressman Paul Hogue represents New Hampshire's 2nd District. He's also a co-chair of the Obama National Campaign. And Congressman, thanks for joining us. Why is Obama using a major state lobbyist as a state chair in his campaign?
Well, you know, David, Barack Obama is running for president of the United States. He's not running for governor in New Hampshire. And there is nothing at all untoward about having Jim Demers, a man of impeccable integrity with a long history in New Hampshire politics, who works on a state level.
Except that Barack Obama denied he was a lobbyist at that debate the other night. Why didn't he just say something as you just did, that, well, he's a state lobbyist and he'll have no influence over me in the federal government?
I've been clear from the start that Yucca, I think, was a misconceived project.
You know, Barack has one of his biggest supporters in terms of funding the Exelon Corporation, which has spent millions of dollars trying to make Yucca Mountain the waste depository.
Well, let me start this question. This is about campaign finances. And let me start it by saying the obvious, which is all three of us have raised a great deal of money in this campaign. And so this is not preachy or holier than thou in any possible way. What we know is that all three of us want to do something about health care in this country. And we also know that until recently, Senator Clinton had raised more money from drug companies and insurance companies than any candidate, Democrat or Republican, until you passed her, Senator Obama, recently to go to number one.
In 2005, there was another run at a bankruptcy reform motivated by the credit card companies and the other big lenders. I opposed that bill. I said very forcefully I opposed that bill. There was a particular amendment that I think is very telling. It was an amendment to prohibit credit card companies from charging more than 30% interest. Senator Obama voted for it. I voted against it. It was one of the biggest lobbyist victories on that very bad bill that the bankruptcy bill represented. And I think it's important, you know, if you look at the recent article about Senator Obama's work on health care reform in the Illinois legislature, it's a very interesting piece about how he basically did the bidding of the insurance companies during that effort. Now, I'm just saying that if we're going to be hurling these charges against one another, I'm used to taking the incoming fire. I've taken it for 16 years. But when you get into this arena, you can't expect to have a hands-off attitude about your record. And it is perfectly fair to have comparisons and contrasts. I voted against a 30%, I voted for limiting to 30% what credit card companies could charge. Senator Obama did not.
Senator,
that's a
30
fact.
seconds, please. Absolutely. It is a fact because I thought 30% potentially was too high of a ceiling. So we had had no hearings on that bill. It had not gone through the banking committee. I don't know about a lot of folks here. Most folks here, if they've got a credit card, are paying 29%, which, so under this provision, that would have been fine. And we had not created the kind of serious...
Just because the limit was too high? Is that what you just said?
That is exactly what I just said, John.
So there's no limit at all?
There had been no discussion. Hold on, John. No, listen to this. There had been no discussion about how we were going to structure this, and this was something that had not gone through the committee, and we hadn't talked about. It didn't make sense for us to cap a interest rate.
The credit card company, that's the bottom line.
I opposed that bill, and you know I did.
Senator Obama did not.
Senator Obama,
That's a
30
fact.
seconds, please.
Absolutely. It is a fact. No,
that's the bottom line.
I opposed that bill, and you know I did.
I just want to add, I agree with John, which is why I prohibited lobbyists from buying meals for members of Congress.
Good idea.
Because, and some of them complained. They said,
Maybe they'll get a little...
With all due respect,
they said, where am I going to eat?
They can now buy food for members of Congress if the members of Congress are standing up. That's my understanding with the rule.
They said,
maybe they'll get a little...
With all due respect,
they said, where am I going to eat?
They can now buy food for members of Congress if the members of Congress are standing up. That's my understanding with the rule, standing up. That's my understanding with the rules have changed. You can't sit down and eat, but you can stand up and eat. Tell me why that's changed.
Here's what we did. They can't buy meals. They can't provide gifts. They can no longer lend corporate.
They can have huge parties for you as long as you're standing up. But you can stand up and eat. Tell me why that's changed. But you can stand up and eat. Tell me why that's changed.
Here's.
Senator Clinton made a serious allegation that you worked for a slumlord, and I wonder if you want to respond.
I'm happy to respond. Here's what happened. I was an associate at a law firm that represented a church group that had partnered with this individual to do a project, and I did about 5 hours worth of work on this joint project. That's what she's referring to.
But keeping them honest, there is a lot more to it than that. Tony Rezko has pleaded not guilty to federal charges of conspiracy, influence peddling, and demanding kickbacks from companies seeking Illinois state business. He's given hundreds of thousands of dollars to Illinois political power brokers. He's done multiple real estate deals with politicians, even their wives. So what's this all about? Money, of course. Rezko has been a major money raiser in Chicago politics, and he saw a star before the nation took notice.
Tony Rezko was his first significant campaign contributor. So, you know, that certainly helped start Senator Obama's career.
But the federal indictment alleges Rezko was giving tainted cash, some illegal, some just unsavory.
So you guys made the decision that we decided he was a slumlord. Right.
Chicago Sun-Times investigative reporter Tim Novak helped label Tony Rezko a slumlord. One of Rezko's businesses got government loans to develop low-income housing. Barack Obama worked on some deals as a lawyer and wrote letters supporting some deals as a state senator. Sun-Times found 2/3 of the buildings were foreclosed on, boarded up, or both.
The city and the state have told us they never had any other low-income developer go that bad, that quick, that much.
This is one of those buildings, and it does seem to fit the description. At the same time, tenants in this building were complaining about the heat being turned off. The building's owner, Rezko, was actually giving money to the Obama campaign.
But the bigger embarrassment for Obama was his own land deal with Rezko. Shortly after his election to the U.S. Senate, Obama bought this house at $300,000 below the asking price. Perhaps not coincidentally, the very same day, Rezko's wife bought the lot next door for full price. Months later, Barack Obama would buy a sliver of the Rezko land to expand his own yard.
The deal happened at the same time that Rezko was knowingly under investigation.
And I did about 5 hours worth of work on this joint project. You said the time has come to tell the lobbyists who think their money and their influence speak louder than our voices that they don't own this government. We do, and we are here to take it back.